Welcome to my channel Sci-Fi Love Story. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. The Flawed Princess and the Human Who Did Not Fear. The great council hall of the galaxy was built to impress fear into the heart of anyone who entered it. The ceiling was so high it vanished into soft blue light. Giant pillars carved from starstone lined the walls, each one marked with symbols from ancient civilizations long gone. Floating platforms hovered in the air, carrying delegates from hundreds of worlds. The air itself felt heavy, thick with power, pride, and quiet judgment. Every seat in the hall mattered. Where you sat showed your value. Who sat near you showed your worth. And tonight, one seat stood painfully alone. She entered through the eastern gate, walking slowly with her head held straight and her hands folded calmly in front of her. Her long silver robes flowed behind her like mist. The soft glow of her people shimmered faintly under her skin, but it was weak, too weak. She was the princess of the Elorian Empire. And she was flawed. As she walked forward, voices rose in whispers. She should not be here. She brings shame. Why does she still breathe council air? No one spoke loudly. They did not need to. Their thoughts were sharp enough. The princess felt every word even when they were not spoken. That was her flaw. She felt too much. She sensed the emotions of others like pressure against her mind, disgust, fear, pity, contempt. Among her kind, emotions were controlled, shaped, and hidden. An Elorian ruler was meant to be calm, perfect, and distant. Feeling deeply was considered a weakness. Caring too much was dangerous. And the princess cared more than anyone. She reached her assigned seat near the center of the hall. The seat was crafted from living crystal, glowing softly in response to her presence. It recognized her bloodline, even if the galaxy did not. She sat down. The seats beside her remained empty. One by one, delegates took their places. Tall insect-like beings with shining armor. Massive stone creatures that shook the floor with every movement. Floating minds contained in glass spheres. Energy beings wrapped in light. Every seat around her stayed untouched. Aliens noticed. They always did. Some adjusted their positions to move farther away. Others whispered to aides. A few glanced at her with thin smiles that carried no kindness. The princess stared forward, her expression calm, her posture perfect. That was something she had learned early. Never let them see the pain. Inside, her chest felt tight. This council would decide trade routes, alliances, and the future of several border worlds. Her voice mattered. Her presence mattered. But to them, her flaw made her dangerous. She questions orders, one elder had once said. She hesitates before destroying, another had added. She mourns the enemy, a third had concluded. A ruler who mourned was unfit. The lights dimmed slightly as the council prepared to begin. The massive central symbol of unity rotated slowly above the chamber. Silence spread, deep and heavy. Still, no one sat beside her. Time passed, long seconds, long enough for the audience watching across the galaxy to notice, long enough for the shame to sink deeper. The princess did not move. She had learned endurance. Then something changed. The western gate opened again. The sound was different this time, not smooth, not graceful. The doors opened with a dull mechanical hum, slower than expected. A figure stepped inside. He was small compared to most beings in the room, soft-skinned, no armor, no natural weapons, no glowing energy. A human. Murmurs rippled across the hall. The humans are late. Why are they here? They barely earned a seat. Humans were new, too new. Their world had only joined the wider galaxy a few decades ago. They had no ancient empire, no perfect biology, no great psychic strength. They were loud, emotional, broken. And yet they were persistent. The human man walked forward, holding a simple data pad under one arm. His clothes were plain by council standards, dark fabric with light markings. He looked around the hall, his eyes taking everything in with open curiosity. Then he noticed the empty space. He saw the princess sitting alone. He slowed his steps. Others noticed too. A few delegates leaned forward. Some tilted their heads. A quiet tension spread as eyes followed the human's gaze. Surely he would choose another seat. There were many empty ones farther away, safe ones. He did not. The human changed direction. He walked straight toward the princess. Her senses flared. Confusion hit her first, then disbelief. No one had approached her willingly in years, not without duty, not without fear. The human reached the row. He stopped beside her. For a brief moment, the entire council hall seemed to hold its breath. Then he sat down. The sound of a human body settling into a crystal seat echoed louder than it should have. Gasps followed. Whispers turned sharp. What is he doing? Is he ignorant? Does he know who she is? The princess turned her head slowly to look at him. Her silver eyes met his brown ones. He smiled. It was not a political smile, not forced, not careful. It was warm. "Hello," he said quietly, his voice calm. "Looks like a long meeting." She did not answer at first. Her mind raced, struggling to understand what was happening. She searched his thoughts by instinct and found no fear, no judgment, only mild nervousness and genuine curiosity. That frightened her more than hatred ever had. "You chose this seat," she finally said, her voice soft but steady. "Yes," he replied, "it was empty." That was all. No mention of her flaw. No hesitation. No apology. Around them, council members shifted uncomfortably. Some glared at the human. Others looked at the princess as if she were suddenly more dangerous. A human sitting beside her changed things. The council leader, an ancient being of light and bone, raised a limb for silence. "The session will begin," the leader announced. The lights brightened. The symbol above rotated faster. But the tension did not fade. The princess focused on the proceedings, listening as topics were announced. Border disputes, resource sharing, defense treaties. When her turn came to speak on a humanitarian corridor proposal, the room grew cold. She stood. Her heart beat fast, but her voice remained clear. She spoke of suffering worlds, of civilians caught between wars, of children born under broken skis. Some delegates avoided her gaze, others looked annoyed. "She speaks with emotion," one whispered. "She weakens policy with feeling," said another. She finished and sat down. Silence followed. Then quietly, the human clapped. Once. The sound was sharp and strange in the hall. He stopped when he realized he was alone, but he did not look embarrassed. He simply nodded toward her. "Well said," he murmured. Her hands trembled slightly as she folded them again. The council leader's voice cut through the air. "Princess of Aloria," the leader said, "your proposal is noted. However, concerns have been raised regarding your condition." The word hit her like a blade. Condition. A tall, armored delegate stood. "She is flawed," the delegate declared loudly. "Her mind is unstable by our standards. Allowing her influence risks the balance of the council." Murmurs of agreement followed. The princess stood again, ready to defend herself. Before she could speak, the human moved. He stood up. Every eye snapped toward him. "Representative of Earth," the council leader said slowly, "you have not been recognized." The human straightened his shoulders. "I know," he said, "but I would like to be." Laughter rippled across the hall, soft, mocking. The leader studied him for a long moment. "Very well," the leader said, "speak briefly." The human took a breath. He looked around the chamber, then down at the princess beside him. He smiled again. My people come from a world full of flaws, he began. The laughter faded. Earth is broken in many ways, he continued. We fight, we fail, we feel too much, and we make mistakes again and again. He paused. But those flaws are why we survive. The hall was silent now. He turned fully toward the council. You see weakness, we see growth, you see danger, we see potential. Some delegates shifted uncomfortably. The armored alien scoffed. Humans are in no position to judge galactic standards. The human nodded. That may be true, but we are very good at standing with those who stand alone. He placed one hand gently on the edge of the seat between him and the princess. She is not broken, he said calmly. She is brave enough to care. A ripple of unease spread across the hall. The council leader leaned forward. Are you challenging the judgment of this council? The leader asked. The human met the leader's gaze. Yes, he said. A sharp intake of breath echoed through the chamber. Security units shifted. Energy fields hummed to life. The princess looked up at him, her eyes wide, not with fear but with something unfamiliar. Hope. The council leader's voice dropped, heavy with warning. Then you will answer for that challenge. The symbol above the hall flared brightly. And the fate of both the flawed princess and the smiling human hung in the balance. Why humanity stands with the broken. The council hall did not move, yet everything inside it felt unstable. Energy fields hummed along the walls, low and threatening. Security units hovered closer, their weapons glowing faintly. The great symbol above the chamber pulsed with white light, casting long shadows across the assembled delegates. The human still stood beside the princess. He did not raise his voice. He did not show fear. The princess watched him closely. No one had ever stood for her like this, not openly, not without condition. She felt his calm reach her, steadying the storm inside her chest. The council leader studied the human for a long time. You challenge tradition, the leader said. You risk balance. The human nodded slowly. Yes. A ripple of tension moved through the chamber. Then explain, the leader continued. Why should this council listen to a species so young, so divided and so imperfect? The human took a breath. Our flaws are exactly why we should be heard, he said. He stepped forward, just one pace. The sound of his foot against the crystal floor echoed clearly. We come from a world where nothing was given freely, he said. Our planet tried to kill us. Storms, quakes, plagues, even our own kind. Some delegates turned away, uncomfortable. We survived because we adapted, he continued. Because we learned, because when we broke, we rebuilt. He looked back at the princess. And because we refused to leave our broken behind. The princess felt her vision blur. She forced herself to stay steady. A tall delegate of shining metal spoke sharply. Emotion clouds judgment. It leads to weakness. The human met the delegate's gaze. Emotion teaches judgment, he replied. Pain teaches limits. Compassion teaches responsibility. Soft murmurs spread through the hall. The council leader raised a limb for silence. You claim flaws are strength, the leader said. Prove it. The human nodded. He activated his data pad. Above the center of the hall, images formed, not perfect, not polished, real. Burning cities, human hands pulling strangers from rubble, medics working without rest, soldiers shielding civilians instead of attacking. Humans fight, the human said quietly, but we also protect, often at the same time. The images shifted. A human ship holding position between a pirate fleet and a refugee convoy. Another human crew sharing supplies with starving colonists, even as their own systems failed. We have saved worlds, he said, not because we were ordered to, but because we could not look away. The hall was silent. The princess stepped forward. Her hands no longer trembled. "My people taught me that perfection was safety," she said. "That feeling was failure." She looked around the hall. "But perfection made us blind." Her voice grew stronger. "I felt the suffering of others," she continued. "I was punished for it, called defective." She turned to the human. "He did not see a defect," she said. "He saw a person." A low, uneasy sound moved through the chamber. The armored delegate spoke again, louder this time. "Your flaw makes you unpredictable." The princess nodded, yes. The admission shocked them. "Because life is unpredictable," she continued, "and rigid minds break when reality changes." The human smiled softly. "Humans broke many times," he said. "We learned how to bend." The council leader leaned back, light dimming slightly around their form. "Change brings chaos," the leader said. The human answered without hesitation, "So does fear of change." The room felt heavier now, as if the walls themselves were listening. A voice spoke from the back of the hall, an old being, ancient and tired. "We have lost worlds to our own perfection," it said. More voices followed. "We ignored suffering because it was inefficient. We chose order over life." The princess felt something shift, a pressure lifted slowly. The council leader remained silent for a long moment. Then the leader spoke. "A vote will be taken," the leader announced, "on whether the Princess of Eloria retains full voice and whether humanity's proposal for shared protection corridors will be adopted." Light moved across the hall as delegates prepared their votes. The princess closed her eyes briefly. For the first time in her life, she did not feel alone. The human stood beside her, hands relaxed at his sides. The votes appeared one by one. Green. Red. Green. Red. The count moved slowly. The hall felt too quiet. The final vote appeared. Green. A soft chime echoed. "The motion passes," the council leader declared, "by the narrowest margin." The princess's breath caught. The human let out a quiet laugh of relief. Murmurs spread, some angry, some uncertain, some thoughtful. The leader raised a limb again. "Princess of Eloria," the leader said, "your voice remains, however your path will be watched." She bowed her head. "I welcome it." The leader turned to the human. "Human representative," the leader said, "your species has disrupted long-held beliefs." The human nodded. "That tends to happen when we care." A few delegates reacted with irritation. Others smiled faintly. The security fields powered down. The tension eased, but something else remained. Change. As the session ended, delegates began to leave. Some avoided the princess. Others offered cautious nods. One small delegation stopped before her. "You were convincing," their leader admitted. The princess smiled gently. "Thank you." The human watched quietly. As the hall emptied, the princess turned to him. "Why?" she asked. "Why sit with me?" He thought for a moment. "Because no one should face judgment alone," he said. "Humans learned that lesson the hard way." She looked at him, truly looked at him. "You risk much," she said. He shrugged lightly. "We're used to risk." They walked toward the exit together. Behind them, the great council hall remained, unchanged in stone and light. But its heart had shifted. Outside, stars stretched endlessly across space. The princess paused. "My people may never fully accept me," she said softly. The human smiled, the same warm smile from before. "Then let them take their time," he said. "Humanity will sit with you until they do." She felt something new rise within her. Not pain. Purpose. As their paths parted, she looked back once more at the hall where she had once sat alone. She would never sit alone again. Not because she was flawless, but because she was human enough to care. And